All right, so if you're a free-to-play player and you're wondering which character is better to pull for between the new Kikoru or Chester, or even the potential idea that you want to skip this stuff and just wait and see what happens down the line, because obviously that could be a thing, this video is for you. We're going to talk about that as well. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. And I've got gameplay and full breakdowns and all that stuff for Kikoru. There will be up one for Chester later. I am working on him. It'll be up soon, probably after this video. So here's the deal. Really quick, short and sweet, very easy answer. I'll elaborate, but very easy answer up front. Chester is the one to choose. And there's multiple reasons why. For example, Kikoru is another attacker. You probably have, I don't know, 10 other attacker role characters. It is what it is. The game has a gajillion attacker characters. And so when you're an attacker character in this game, you're competing against the field. Repeatedly, I always tell people, oh, so-and-so character, like the other 4-star or 5-star Kikoru, or any of the 4-star attackers, or any other characters that are just attacker characters. I always say, oh, this character isn't as high on my tier list if that's the situation they're in, because there are other characters that do the same thing, and they do it better, right? People always want to argue with me about like somebody like Shinonome, who I will showcase as well, because if you're a fan, you're a fan. It is what it is. I can't do anything about that. But it is what it is, right? Like other characters can do other things better. And so in this case, Kikoru, for example, is probably knocking Gen, just for the record, maybe a slot down on my list. Not because Gen doesn't have the double plate thing. He may stay because of that, to be honest. But like she's trying to do a lot of the same stuff, except where Kikoru truly shines isn't even her own like actual damage output, because it's nothing crazy. I mean, it's good. It's just now the problem is that Hoshina comes in and he's doing 200, 300,000 damage with no dupes, by the way. Or one dupe now, I guess. But prior he was doing 200 with no dupes. Anyway. So he's kind of reset what you would consider great damage. And so all these other characters, especially if they're multi-target characters like she is, they're doing like, 50,000 damage. And it's like, that's nice, right? Like that's nice. They may even hit like 80,000. That's nice, but it's not 200, 300,000. So it's just not fair. It's frankly not fair. But her main thing is, the stupid glitch is annoying the hell out of me, is she's actually super versatile with her defense down. The fact after she starts with the ultimate, so basically she's always got this stuff, and she gets the charge rate up, so she's going to get the ultimate right back. So she basically, this will never fall off pretty much. Anyway, so she starts off with the ability to throw defense down on her combat skill and normals. They're for 2 turns, and she does it on her ultimate. She also does a speed down in here on her combat skill. So she's throwing constant defense downs on AoE targets. Well, I shouldn't say AoE. They're blast attacks with adjacent. I've always pointed out the difference in that, and that's where Shinonome, once again, actually is really good. Anyway, so like she can put this on 3 enemies at once. She could technically put it on 1 of the 3. She could technically put it on 2 of the 3. It kind of varies because it's not a 100% chance, and that's why like you really need effect hit rate on her. And if you're going to use her that way, then frankly this isn't her best unipart set. If you're going to use her specifically as a secondary support type character, secondary DPS, and the effect hit rates primary set, whatever that one is in there, it's probably her better set. But that's truly where she shines, right? Like she's really great at that. And she doesn't have like the ability to hit as hard as at a single target because that's not what she is, right? Like a Kaiju No. 8 or like a Hoshina, she's not doing that. But that is really her value. And it's interesting. She also has defense penetration in there too for herself. It's interesting because we haven't really had a great chance to play with defense down, especially to that degree. It hasn't really happened. There was like 3 other characters, 2 of them were 4 stars, and then the other Kikoru who did it, and it was on the ultimate. And so that's almost useless because it's kind of a little bit too late. You're going through a few turns. By that point, the boss, in today's setups now, the boss is basically already dead by the time she's throwing that. And it's pretty much only for herself at that point. But you got a situation where you can really play with that. Now, I wanted to move from Chester, or to Chester. By the way, Kikoru needs her weapon. I don't think Chester does, for the record. So that's kind of another thing, too. I think you really want to put Kikoru's weapon on her. It also increases her effect hit rate, which she needs. Even though she's got a gauntlet option, or multiple, I guess, you still want to put her weapon on her. He's got more options, but I have to test this, but there's a decent chance the Battle Pass one is the best one. Now, you may or may not have that, but the Battle Pass one is super good. Is this it? After the equipped unit activates, get an attack increase. No, there's the one for speed in here somewhere. This one. So this is not the battle pass one. Never mind. This is the one that's in the exchange shop. This one is the one that I'm talking about. The one in the exchange shop for one of those bottom ones. I don't know if it's Expedition. One of those ones down there for the medals. Increasing speed of all allies, increasing attack of all allies. That stuff's really good. You can get his weapon. I did pull that in here. It's this one. It increases his own attack and increases allies' damage dealt. Damage dealt may be the best buff in the game. I need to play with defense penetration. So there's that. That's the argument for it, right? I just didn't care as much for his own individual increases. But his own increases are not the worst thing either. Because his attack going higher is good. Because he increases allies' attack based on his own attack. So that's where you could maybe... I guess his is still the best one because of that specific mechanic. But I don't think you necessarily have to go get it, is my point. Anyway, he's really strong without any dupes, but man, if you get any dupes in this dude, even the first dupe is ridiculous. When allies are in field ops state, the damage dealt goes up 30%. After activating an ultimate, gives penetration. We've not seen this yet. Parallels toolbox. Okay, just leave me alone. We have not seen this yet, right? So 2 allies. Like, that's the second dupe. We haven't seen that. I'm not going to go any deeper than that because this stuff, it's good, but like most people aren't going there. So just by default, he is a character that's got utility, and he's going to be a character that's really good. So typically with these characters, a DPS character, there's a lot of options. They fall off faster than these characters that are support characters in these games because these support characters get plugged in alongside the new DPS characters, and the new DPS characters replace the old characters that were DPSs. Like, for example, Hoshina, I want to say 2.0, but technically that's the second Hoshina. Say they made a numbers weapon 10 Hoshina again. He would be better than the one we have probably. Maybe even complete the same role. And so with that being the case, the one we have now would get completely power crept. We'd stop using him. We'd use this guy alongside him. He's also really interesting because he increases the action order of characters. He increases the crit rate. He increases the damage dealt. By the way, advancing action order as opposed to increasing speed is like ridiculous. He's basically Rio, the 4-star Rio down there. Where's he at? This dude right here under Reno, he's basically a power crept version of him. Really, really strong character. So with that being the case, like, he's the one that I think is the better option for a number of different reasons for free-to-play players. Aside from the fact that maybe you need a main DPS. I'd argue though, like, if you need a main DPS, it's probably because you didn't pull Hoshina. I'd argue that firstly, I'm positive that if you have like Reno, if you have Gen, you may not even need one of the other. Like, if you've got another top end character, you're fine. I'm positive. I'm literally positive because of the content in this game. So you don't need anything at that point. Like, you don't need a support either. And so what this will do for you is getting him will allow for you to stop having to use one of those 4-star supports if you wanted to do that. He should last longer as well, and that would be the option. But there's also the other option that you could just ignore all this stuff. You don't have to interact with this stuff, right? Now, here's the thing. I said this in one of my videos. I've already recorded like 4 tonight. Frankly, I've got like 10 videos in a 24-hour span. Anyway. Free-to-play players, I think, now that we know these exist, and they may pop... What if they pop up like monthly on the 1st or something like that? And then they last for 2 weeks. That'd be kind of crazy. Maybe it's bi-monthly. I don't know. Because they last for 2.5 weeks. They can't do that feasibly unless they're the only banners that are going to pop up. You may be better off, though, only summoning on these when they pop up. Until another better banner type pops up, you may be better off. Now, the trick to that is that limiteds. We thought Chester was going to be a limited character. Now we know that he's not. He's a festival character. These characters, another thing here, is that they will be just like Reno. They will be in the pickup gacha pool, just like Hoshina, afterwards, right? Not the standard pool, the pickup gacha pool, which means you can, for example, you can go to Hoshina's banner, you could be on these banners. In fact, that happened to me, and pull Reno, because Reno's in there now. Sagan, however, was a limited. She's not available at all. If you started playing the game today, you could not pull Sagan on anything. She's not available, while Reno is. So that's kind of like the thing about it is that you've got the 3-in-1 free here. So just by nature, it's the best banner type we've seen in this game because you get a free multi on it. So that's my idea of like, it may be best to just summon on these. Now, the idea of that is that with these characters that are non-limited being put in here, you would obviously over time pull them in their weapons if you do enough summons, of course, and have enough luck. But the tricky thing is that the limiteds, to my point, what if they drop a super cracked limited? They've got to be thinking that to combat this strategy, right? They're going to drop something that gives you FOMO. Or maybe it's like a Kaiju No. 8 character, like a Kafka something. I don't know. That's a limited character. Now that, I mean, we don't know that limiteds are only going to be original characters. They could be anything else. I mean, these are technically 2 original characters, but, you know, we don't know. It could be anything. So that's, I guess it still remains to be seen. Now, the last thing is, you've got 2.5 weeks. What's the rush? There's nothing in the game that requires you to own these characters today. There's a little fierce battle that tries to tell you that they're boosted here and they're better here and all this stuff. I'm pretty damn sure you can get through this without it. Can I say who's on the last stage? Unless the last stage is like level 100 enemies, which it won't let me see until I play it. Unless the last stage is level 100 enemies, you don't need them. And even then, you probably don't need them. But we'll see what happens. You know what they would do? They would make a content. Excuse me. They would make a content that like neuters other characters that are not these characters and like reduces their damage or something stupid like that. That's kind of the route they would need to go down. I don't want to give them ideas though. But yeah, so long story short, answer the question. Chester is the one to choose because of the longevity of the character. I think Kikoru will be a character that falls off a little bit sooner. However, I don't want to disregard Kikoru in that manner because she has utility. She is an AoE, okay, not AoE. Blast attacking character that can hit up to 3 targets at once. And she does defense downs on all those targets. And she also stacks those defense downs. So like I can't disregard that. That is immensely valuable. And she does decent damage herself, right? If it wasn't for the secondary typing on Gen, she would just quite literally be Gen 2.0. But like maybe 2.5. So like, you know, and that's why like her not being lightning is kind of a gift and a curse. Like if she was lightning type, like we were thinking, that would have been insane. So just to, hopefully I was able to answer that question for you. If you want to see my summons, if you want to see my gameplay, make sure you check those out. The video should be on the screen right now, and I'll see you over there.